Hey fellow RVers, last year was our first time to the infamous Quartzsite, Arizona boondocking area, and it is a rite of passage for all RVers.
And with the big Quartzsite gathering coming up in January, we wanted to share some tips from you that we've gathered from our 3 years of full-time RVing and our law enforcement background to help keep you safe and comfortable.
Yes, and if you don't know who we are, I'm Deb.
I'm Joel.
Maya's right there, our dog, and we are chasing our sunshine. So Quartzsite, Arizona turns from a quaint, quiet desert town into the land of RVers come January.
There's hundreds of thousands of RVers that flock to that area in January for the warm weather and the boondocking and the show.
The infamous Quartzsite show.
We're so excited. We are at the Big Tent Show in Quartzsite, Arizona.
By no means do we claim to be experts on boondocking or anything involving Quartzsite, as last year was our first time there. But we do want to share our experience there to help you, because we can honestly tell you we were nervous.
We were, and we want to make sure you're able to plan ahead.
Yes, because planning ahead always makes it easier, safer, and you're less stressed.
All right, so driving your RV into Quartzsite can be quite overwhelming during peak season. So here's a couple things you're going to want to know. If you're coming from the east or the west, you're going to be on Interstate 10, and traffic's going to get most congested around exit 17 and 19. If you're coming from the north or the south, you're going to be on Highway 95, which is a 2-lane road that most people are exiting and entering on with their RVs when they're going boondocking, so you're going to be wanting to pay attention there too. All you got to do is slow down, pay attention, because you're going to see a ton of RVs.
Pro tip is to actually fill up your gas tanks before arriving to Quartzsite, because fuel is limited. There is a Love's truck stop, and it can be incredibly busy with RVs. Consider fueling up in Blythe or Parker for better prices. However, Blythe is in California, so there might be a price increase there. And we're going to recommend you always check your propane levels before arriving, as propane and gas itself is normally a little bit higher in Quartzsite due to the limited resources there.
So the one thing about Quartzsite is your options are limited. It's not a very big town, so your options for restaurants are pretty limited. There's a really good pizza place. Our favorite place, the Yacht Club, we heard is shut down, so that's another place that we would have liked to recommend, but apparently it's not there anymore. Another big tip is to make sure you stock up on groceries before you get there, because the grocery store is pretty small. Prices are expensive. There is a Dollar General and a Dollar Tree, I think, there, but again, limited access to groceries.
We are lucky enough to have our own laundry in our RV, but with water conservation, we make sure we have all of our laundry done before we actually get to Quartzsite. But there are several laundry facilities that you can find in Quartzsite yourself if you actually do run into that and need one.
All right, now let's talk about safety and security.
Us as former law enforcement pride ourselves on trying to be as safe as possible.
The first thing and the foremost thing is always keep your RV locked. We even keep ours locked when we're inside it.
Yes, some people say that might be paranoid, but it is always safety first, because you don't know who might actually be wandering around out in boondocking spots or even in crazy RV parks themselves.
And consider the use of cameras both inside and out, and possibly some solar lighting.
Yes, you're going to actually want to put lighting around your RV as it is dark out at night.
The other thing you're going to want to know, because you're in the middle of the desert, check your coordinates and have them marked somewhere, and make sure that your family knows where you're at.
And don't be afraid to talk to your neighbors and get to know them as well, because the more eyes you have on your RV, the better for safety and numbers.
And make sure you always have the emergency numbers for the area handy.
Yes, 911 does work in the area, and I will put the other emergency numbers right here. But there is also a regional hospital in Parker, which is the closest hospital, but there are urgent care facilities in the area as well, along with a pharmacy.
So, is there any wildlife you should be concerned about? Well, it is the Arizona desert, so you're going to want to make sure you're watching out for snakes, number one for me, and should be for you, scorpions, and there are some coyotes in the area also. Some things that will help with wildlife outside your rig is having some lighting there, especially at night. We're told that helps keep snakes and things out from underneath your rig. Try not to keep your shoes outside, but if you do, make sure you check them every time before you put them on. And you want to make sure you don't have any food, dog food, or garbage outside overnight.
And also things that you should consider is what location do you actually want to be at? Do you want to be closer to town? How much cell phone reception do you need? Are you going to be prepared to have generator noise from neighbors?
Remember, generator hours are generally from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. in that area.
Also, you'll want to also consider how far away you want to be from your neighbors.
Yeah, and generally you want to be at least 50 feet, if not 100. There's plenty of area out there. Spread out and have fun.
And a thing that you should also look for is you want to be level. So you're going to want to actually look to see if you're on level ground or not. And you're going to want to be looking for access to the main roads, as it's crazy. There are main roads right through the middle of the desert.
There are. And you want to pay attention to the wind. The wind in that area is mostly prevailing from the northwest.
And what's the weather like in Quartzsite, Arizona? Well, it can depend. It could be anywhere from the 60s to the 70s during the day to dropping down to the 40s at night and down even to freezing, and it can even rain. Last year we had one day where we thought we were going to be flooded out because it just nonstop rained. So just be prepared for all types of weather, because you might need a winter jacket or you might need a tank top. You just never know in Quartzsite. So the good thing is most of you live in your RV, so you have it all with already. And if you're wondering about the cell phone signal, it can be spotty. AT&T works closer to town. Your best bet is actually Verizon, and T-Mobile is spotty. Starlink does work very well as long as you have that clear line to the sky. So if you have Starlink, that's probably going to be your best bet. But just be prepared that you might not have the best cell phone signal, especially when it gets so congested in the area with all the RVers that roll in. Before we even talk about finding your perfect spot, let's talk first preparing and figuring out what camping permits you might need before arriving.
Yeah, there's basically two areas around Quartzsite. One requires a permit, one does not. So the one that does is the LTVA, which is the long-term visitor area, and you can get an annual pass there for $180, or you can get a 14-day permit, and I think that's $40.
Yeah, the long-term, the LTVA, because you're going to hear that slang term a lot while you're in Quartzsite, that is valid from September 15th through April 15th.
And the other area, like I said, is free to stay at, but they do have a 14-day limit there.
Yes, and that is actually on BML land, which is the Bureau of Land Management. If you do get a LTVA pass, it must be in a visible location so that the rangers can see it when they drive by.
Yeah, because that area does have a rangers and people monitoring. The other one does too, but not as often.
Yeah, so keep that in mind and get the correct pass that you need to stay there. Last year, we just went with the free boondocking on the BML land and didn't have to pay anything for our wonderful stay in Quartzsite. So most likely, if you actually have the LTVA pass, you're probably already at Quartzsite and probably don't need to watch this video at all. But if it is going to be your first time and you're looking for that 14-day free areas, let's talk about that now.
Yeah, and most of them are north of Quartzsite. First one is the High Jolly area, which is a historic site and closer to town, like around 3 miles.
North of Quartzsite.
Yeah.
The other one is Dome Rock Mountain area. It's got scenic views, but you're a little bit further out.
And then there's Plomosa Road North, which is generally less crowded, and that's kind of where we stayed last year, and it was an easy in and out.
And there's also the Party on Plomosa, hosted free for everyone to come to by the Escapees RV Club.
Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, it's nice and sunny out here where we're boondocking on Plomosa Road outside of Quartzsite. And if you hear generators going as we're walking here, we apologize, but people need their morning coffee.
Jeff did too.
I definitely did. Why did I need my coffee? I needed energy, and we're up early.
We are going down to help a club we belong to, the Escapees, and they're having a big party on Plomosa outside of Quartzsite later today, and we're going to go help set up some benches or something, I guess.
We love to give back, and to be able to go over and just help even set up benches kind of makes us feel good.
Yeah.
Not really at this time of the morning.
Don't see activity yet though, so maybe we're a little early.
Oh, we have to walk down here, but we are
We need to
heading.
exercise anyway.
Yeah, get our steps in early before we start partying.
And the stage is set. And the bleachers are up. Here's a call to all the peeps. Come on out.
Party on Plomosa.
All right, we're out here enjoying amazing time, meeting up with friends back here. But we're also listening to some amazing music here at the party on Plomosa. We're definitely going to say you need to check this out if you're in the area. I guess you're going to have to see it in 2025.
And one other area is called the Roadrunner, and that has easy access.
So those are the options. You're going to want to look ahead, figure out where you want to be, and make it fit for you.
And if you're going with a group, it's probably best to come in together.
As we mentioned, you are going to be boondocking most likely. There are some campgrounds in Quartzsite, but you probably should have had those booked already if you were going to stay at one, because they are very limited. But with boondocking obviously comes water conservation.
Yeah, you're going to want to make sure you show up there with your gray and black tanks empty and your freshwater tank full. There are some services and locations that you can go fill up if you want to or need to, but again, they're limited.
And there are also dump stations that are in town that do have fees. And if you have the LTVA pass, some of those dump stations are included with that pass itself. So that is something to consider as well. And you can actually pay, like Joel said, $40 if you're going to stay down in that area. And then the dump station and water fills would be included.
There are some mobile services available. We did see some signs for that, and we saw them driving through our area, but I don't know what they charge. But I think you can get them at any time too.
But we planned ahead. We came with our tanks, gray and black empty, and our freshwater full. So we were set, and most people can last anywhere from a couple days to a couple weeks, depending on how well they can manage water. We do recommend also buying bottled water and drinking that. And if you have a water bottle, a water bladder, fill that as well for backup.
Next thing we want to discuss is garbage. If you are down in the LVTA, they do have garbage areas in that section for you. If you're in some of the freer areas, they don't have any garbage on site, but north of town there is a dump that is opened periodically, and that is free.
And sometimes there's a huge line to get in there. So you might want to also check the hours and try to go earlier during those hours to beat the crowds to get rid of garbage.
And don't litter.
Yes. Oh my gosh, we're boondocking people. Pack in, pack out. And if you see litter in your area, pick it up, because we don't want to lose these boondocking sites as places are getting closed down because fellow RVers are not being responsible. One of the big reasons that people actually go to Quartzsite is for the Quartzsite RV show itself. It's running from January 18th through the 26th this year, and there's over 400 vendors there. You can look at different things for your RVs. It's got the gadgets, the gears, you name it. You can go actually look at some new models and old models of RVs itself. And obviously some tips if you're looking for them for attending the Quartzsite show itself. We did do a whole video on that last year, and I'll put the link up above and in the description below for that. But some quick tips or whatever for you. I guess he's gonna step in here to help out on this. Number one or whatever is bring your own water.
You're going to want to have comfortable shoes because there's a lot of walking and some of it's uneven ground.
Yes, and if you do have a dog, it is dog friendly, but we're going to tell you, leave the dog at home. Everyone we saw last year was scared to death and stressed out from being in there because it is large crowds. And if you're going to want to beat the crowds, you're going to want to go early in the morning and on one of the weekdays.
For sure.
So what can you budget for your own cost while coming to Quartzsite?
Well, that's hard to do because everybody's different, but remember, camping can be anywhere from $0 to $180 if you want to buy that full year pass.
Yes, groceries, just plan on what you normally do on a weekly basis as well, and think ahead of what meals you want to prepare and have them done ahead of time as well, because you're going to be boondocking.
And if you need water, that can be anywhere from $0 to like $40, depending on where you get it. And if you need to do dumping services, again, that's going to cost, we're told that's around $40, $45.
And we said make sure that you fill up with propane before you get there, so you can, on average or whatever, expect a cost of anywhere from $30 to $50, depending upon your tank size.
And of course, entertainment, again, that's up to you, but probably around $100 to $300, and even more if you stop at the adult daycare. The good thing is most of the shows are all free to get into, so again, it's just whatever you're willing to spend while you're there.
Yes, you could spend $0, or you could spend up to thousands of dollars buying a new RV or different equipment for your own RV. Wow, we know that was a lot of information we just threw at you, but you have to remember, Quartzsite just isn't a destination, it's an actual adventure as well.
Absolutely. After 3 years of full-time RVing and decades in law enforcement, we know that planning is key.
Yes, you don't want to always over-plan, but going in with a mindset of having a plan and knowing what you're going to do will help alleviate some of the stress we felt last year, not knowing what the show was going to be like or what boondocking was going to be like at the Quartzsite show itself.
And we can tell you from our 1 year of experience, and we know there's hundreds that have a lot more, that the Quartzsite show is about community just as much as it is about the RVs.
With the 1,000 RVers that actually end up migrating to the Quartzsite area for the month of January, each of them have an amazing different story to tell, and they're all from different walks of life.
Yep, you're going to run into retired folks, full-timers, part-timers, weekend warriors, those that are still working. Everybody's at the Quartzsite show.
And now you're going to be a part of the story at Quartzsite itself. And remember that being prepared is knowledge.
All right, guys, if this video helped save you a headache, an unexpected expense, or maybe a safety issue, make sure you hit that like button because it helps other RVers get the information.
Yes, we're not only sharing tips with you, we're building a community.
A community of smart, prepared, and adventurous RVers.
Before you hit the road to Quartzsite, let us know in the comments below, is this going to be your first time there? Have you been there before, and do you have any tips to share? And what are you most excited about? Thanks for watching, guys. We hope to see you out at Quartzsite, and we'll see you guys on the next video.
Thanks for watching.